Quorum.
Good morning and welcome to the Anne Arundel County Delegation Meeting. I'm Delegate Heather Bagnall, Chair of the delegation with Vice Chair Delegate Dana Jones. Before we conduct further introductions, I would ask everyone to welcome Delegate Rachel Munoz, District 31, who will be offering our pledge and our prayer today.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Jury, it's over. And in a strange way, there was
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Thank you, God, for bringing us together today to do your good work for the people of Maryland. Please watch over each of us and our families and every one of our constituents here in Anne Arundel County. Please help us to make good choices, to work hard, and to work together, regardless of issues, regardless of party. Please help us to work for every single person in Anne Arundel County, big and small, and please give us your wisdom and grace to do this for the next 40 days. Amen.
Thank you very much. And it is 40 days now. So I want to welcome our senators, Senator Don Guile from District 33, Senator Pam Beidle from District 32, Senator Brian Simonaire from District 31, Senator Sarah Elfreth from District 30, Senator Jim Rosapep from District 21, and Senator Clarence Lamb of District 12. I also want to welcome our guests. Once again, the Anne Arundel County chapter of the AARP are watching on the live stream. We also have Pete Barron, Hannah Dyer, and Ethan Hunt joining us from the County Executive's Office. Once again, I want to recognize our counsel, Matt Carpenter, our delegation secretary, Roger Massey, my chief of staff, Rory Nolan, and Josh Paper, chief of staff to Vice Chair Jones, who are providing technical support for the meeting. As a reminder, all delegation meetings will be on Zoom due to space constraints. So during the week, we did receive a number of inquiries regarding House Bill 496 and House Bill 617. So we are holding those bills as we have some outstanding questions. So we will not be voting any bills today. Instead, we are going to go straight to our guests, and we have two trailblazers kicking off this first delegation meeting in Women's History Month. So right now, it is my great honor to introduce our first guest, Anne Arundel County Police Chief Amal Awad. Chief Awad is the 19th Chief of Police for Anne Arundel County. When she was sworn in December of 2020, during the height of the pandemic, she became the first woman and the first woman of color police chief for our county. She's had a long career of firsts, and we are very lucky to have her here in our county. Welcome, Chief Awad.
Thank you. Good morning to our esteemed delegation. I hope everyone is starting off the day very pleasant. As you've heard, my name is Amal Awad. I was very honored to accept the position as Chief of Police here in Anne Arundel County during one of our most challenging of times at the height of a pandemic, when officers and other service-oriented workers were tasked with showing up, stepping up, and being present every day. Very grateful for all the folks who were present and stepped up for the community. As you're aware, our department has been accredited by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies since 1994. What that means is they create professional standards for law enforcement agencies throughout the country. And there are very few agencies of the 18,000 police departments throughout the United States that are actually accredited. So we're very proud of that accreditation. And quite frankly, on our last on-site assessment, the assessors complimented our department and actually said we need more Anne Arundels. And they took a deep dive into all of our policies, all of our various components throughout the department, and evaluated us and ensured we were in compliance with the more than 600 standards that we're tasked with remaining in compliance. So that is something that we're very proud of. One of the first things that I did do when I first arrived here was asked Mr. Pittman to help me create an additional bureau. So we created the Bureau of Community Services because we understood how important it was to elevate the services that we already provided, but also to add additional community services. And so now that bureau stands alongside our operations and investigations, our administration, and our patrol. It's a priority for us for obvious reasons, and you all understand, but that is also a source of our agency pride. In addition to our responsibility for safeguarding the community and crime fighting, we complement that with community engagement, community services. And much like you, we enjoy getting out into the community, so much so, you're very familiar with the practice of knocking on folks' doors and talking to them. That's exactly what we do. We go to various neighborhoods and we knock on doors and we talk to our residents so they have that firsthand one-on-one conversation with their police department, to include myself. And we receive very good feedback from our residents as a result of that. This agency, as you well know, adopted the recommendations that came out of the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing to include the 6 pillars. And oftentimes I will speak not just to community, but our officers as well, about the 2 that really stand out for me that are very important. All 6 are important, but these 2 really stand out. And that is the first one, building trust and legitimacy. We understand that without our community, we don't exist, and we're here for them. So it's on us to reach out and build those relations. And while I'm on this very subject, I have Justin Mulcahy, my executive assistant, in the room with me. My intent is, and some of you have been contacted by us, but I look forward to actually sitting down and breaking bread with you so that we can really talk through not just some issues, but to really get to know one another. So we'll be reaching out in the very near future if we haven't already reached out. Back to the important pillars, the 6th pillar is officer wellness and officer safety. That's a very important pillar for us in Anne Arundel County. I'm very proud of the robust officer wellness program that we do have here for our police officers, and we extend those services to our families as well. In addition to peer support and group conversations, there are opportunities for officers to exercise speaking with our community chaplains if they have an issue or concern or something they want to talk through with someone of faith. And then other things like yoga, just things, wellness, we're promoting wellness so that our officers have an opportunity and space to decompress and talk through some of the traumatic events that they experience on a daily basis. When I got here, I'll keep talking about when I got here. I've only been here 2 years now, and it's gone by so quickly. But our 3 areas of focus were, we call them the 3 C's. You may or may not have heard about our 3 C's, but community engagement is a priority, crisis intervention is a priority, and communication is a priority for our department, on top of our other goals and objectives of the agency. And I want to highlight for a minute the crisis intervention piece, because again, when I arrived, we're in the midst of a lot of community trauma with, the pandemic. And then I'm coming in just as we're moving through the demonstrations after the killing of George Floyd. And It was a tumultuous time. We're still, experiencing tumultuous times because here we are today, in the aftermath of the killing of Tyree Nichols down in Memphis. And so we just understand how important it is to offer not only peer support for our officers, but crisis intervention services for our community at large. Our crisis intervention team was recognized by CIT International as a crisis intervention team of the year 2 years ago. And I'm sure we'll get that accomplished again, that recognition, but we have a very robust CIT. We help other agencies, not just throughout the state and other jurisdictions. When the insurrection at the US Capitol occurred, we extended services and assistance to their staff and their officers who were reeling with the trauma in the aftermath of that horrific event. So we're very proud of our crisis intervention team. My only hope is that, and I speak with the leadership, I know that taking on so much trauma from others, sometimes that transfers to you, and it's important for them as well to have someone to talk to and talk through because they deal with it every day, all day. And my last speaking point about our CIT is the fact that it's not a one and done. When they meet with someone in need, they journey with that individual through recovery, through whatever court processes. It's not a, we meet you on your first day, you're having a horrible, experience, and we're here to triage that in the now. We go beyond that and we actually journey with that person to make sure they know they're not doing that alone. So that's something we're very proud of when we speak about our crisis intervention team. And I'll conclude because I can be long-winded and Fire Chief Wolford will be very upset with me if I don't wrap up. I have so much more to say and we can talk through that when we meet. I'd love to meet with everyone, but I'd like to just bring up one of the key investments we are looking at right now is standing up our very own real-time intelligence and analysis center. Right now, the way we do it, we have those services in various components throughout the department, and we want to bring them into one location so that we're consolidating that information, analyzing that information in one clearinghouse, and then getting that information out to our detectives and our officers in real time so that they're able to better safeguard the community. And there's some community engagement components in there as well. So with that, I will conclude my intro.
Thank you so much, Chief. Do we have questions from the members? Delegate Henson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief Allwood. We are really excited to have you and Chief Wolford here on Women's History Month, but for public safety updates. I know you mentioned in your remarks that you came into the department at a time where there was a lot of change. A lot of things were happening, socially, in the world, everywhere. And one of the things that was big for us at that time was the police accountability and reform measures that we passed here in the House and in the Senate. Are you able to give us an update on how implementation of those reforms are going in the department?
So are we speaking to specific reforms in terms of the use of force, or are there components you want to talk about? Because I will say, we've gone through the bill in detail and have implemented the recommendations that came out there, the NPTSC requirements, but our training academy did go through the necessary and proportional components of use of force, and any other components that impacted our training we did implement. And just, if I may very quickly speak to our training beyond the laws that we did implement within our training, we also take our training a little above what the NPTSC requires. I brought in Dr. Chris Marsh from the University of Maryland to come in and teach and facilitate conversations with our officers on implicit bias and on customer service. Rather than have one of us, we have Maryland Police Training Commission certified police officers on our staff, but I thought it would be most appropriate to bring in someone from academia to come in to help us teach those blocks of instruction. beyond that, something that folks don't know is all of our officers go through a guided tour at the National African American Museum of History and Culture. We just started those tours again. COVID kind of restricted that, but we partnered with Dr. Sharita Jacobs Thompson and Dr. Bernie Demsip, and we meet them at the museum and they walk us through the transatlantic slave trade up until 21st century policing and the impacts that policing has had traditionally on the African American community from the moment we landed on this soil. That's something I'm very proud of. We're only one of 3 agencies in the state of Maryland who has at least formed that partnership with them. And I know that to be true because Cheverly was first, the city of Hyattsville was second, and then Anne Arundel County was third. Other agencies are now taking on that opportunity, but it's an enlightening experience. I've been 3 times myself. Every time I go, I learn something new, but I think it's important that we educate beyond the training that is recommended by the Maryland Police Training Commission. So that's something I'm very proud of as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the steps that you take really makes Anne Arundel County, our police department, not just adequate, but it really gives us opportunities to be great. So that's so reassuring to hear that officers are getting that additional insight as well. Specific to any reforms that I would think I could be enlightened by an update on, I know that we had the body worn camera mandate, which I believe Anne Arundel implemented before the state deadline. I know that we envision having screenings for red flag warnings so that if officers were in a status where they could not effectively engage the public, that we were doing more to inform so that people couldn't just transfer between different departments. And I believe that that statewide standard for the use of force, you indicated that that was out, but I would love to know how close that was to what we were already doing in Anne Arundel County and if that necessitated any big changes.
I'm glad you asked that question, ma'am. So when I first arrived here in Anne Arundel County, I did commit, I said I'm going to go through our policies and make sure we're, compliant with the Maryland Police Training Commission, et cetera. I'm humbled and I'm honored to say this. I know firsthand that enough of the time, the Maryland Police Training Commission does look at Anne Arundel County's policies for a framework. They benchmark us because our policies are very progressive, very professional. They're CALEA compliant. I explained CALEA, the accreditation. And so it's something, again, we're very proud of. This is a very professional organization, and agencies throughout the state look to Anne Arundel County. In fact, many agencies send their officers, their student officers through our police academy because we're known for our professional standards and training.
And so, go ahead.
Oh, body worn camera implementation, you're correct about that. We, Mr. Pittman and the county council obviously funded that prior to the mandate, prior to it being mandated. And that's, again, forward thinking on Anne Arundel County's part, even though we were probably not the first to do it. We like to tout the first because our initials are AA, but beyond that, it was the right thing to do. And having made the investment and putting cams on officers and allowing officers to adapt and get used to them over a period of time, it's something that they embraced and they're receptive to because it does help. It helps tell a piece of the story.
And you have the screening. I did the screenings and the early warning systems.
Yes, so the early warning system is something that is not new to law enforcement. I hail from 2 other agencies, and that's something that we have been doing consistently. You mentioned a red flag, and I think you're speaking to when an officer is separated from employment from an agency that the Maryland Police Training Commission, by law, we are required to notify the Maryland Police Training Commission, and they make that notation that the employee was either separated through termination or they resigned while under an investigation. But yes, we make those notifications diligently with every person who separates from our agency.
Thank you. And then if I could be permitted just one more, the measuring success on the implicit bias training and making sure that you're getting the results that you want out of the department. I was having a conversation with our NAACP, and they mentioned some disparities, racial disparities in the traffic stops in Anne Arundel County. Is that something that you're seeing? Is that something we're monitoring? Is there anything you can give us information on?
It's something that we are monitoring. So we will be releasing a dashboard here in short order. It's almost ready to go out, and you will see that the vast majority of our traffic stops, they involve whites and blacks, but when you consider and Hispanics, but when you consider the demographic makeup of the county, there is a shift, a slight shift. However, when we deploy our resources, we are analyzing data. So when we receive calls for 911, name the call, we're sending a police officer. Enough of the time, I encourage our officers to conduct proactive constitutional traffic stops. I encourage our officers to police from their hearts and to police constitutionally. So they understand that there is an expectation that they conduct themselves professionally, ethically at all times. Back to the stops, they do occur in communities or in close proximity to communities where we see more of our violent crime incidents occurring. But it is something that we are looking at. I did ask Dr. Chris Marsh to walk through that data with us at some point, and I'll have to probably speak to or commission another university or professor because she just went on a sabbatical. She wrote a book, and it's a pretty popular book on Amazon right now. So.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for dialogue and all of the updates and important work that's being done there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Chief Awad. Thank you for your commitment and the innovations you described and the energy you're bringing to this job. I think a lot of what you're doing in Anne Arundel really can and should be models for the whole state of Maryland. My question, just briefly, is because I'm intrigued by it, is your door knocking campaign. I think all of us as elected officials, we all do door knocking at least every 4 years, if not more often, and it's really so eye-opening and gratifying to have those conversations one-on-one with citizens. And I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit anecdotally about what those interactions have been like, what kind of stories, concerns you're hearing, and just sort of as an aside, have any of your officers in going door to door happened across a crisis kind of situation or something that really needed immediate intervention, immediate assistance?
So to my knowledge, your most recent, just that question, no. And generally we call them, neighborhood knock and talks. And generally speaking, when we have them, I go on those walks and we hit various segments and name the neighborhood. It doesn't matter, wealthy, poor, whatever. We just travel to these neighborhoods to talk to people. I felt like it was important that we get out and just have conversations with folks. Initially, some folks are taken aback that the police are knocking at their door, but once we soften it and make the introduction, they're very open to it and they're very appreciative. In fact, one of my first ones, I remember walking in and it was a mother, a daughter, and a grandmother. And the one woman was like, I've seen you on television. You're our chief. And she's like, my chief is in my living room. And I said, yes, ma'am, I am. And we had a great conversation. It's something that folks appreciate. And they share information and it gives them an opportunity to share whatever concerns they may have in the privacy of their home, rather than them coming out to a community meeting and being apprehensive about being expressive or vocal. And then we get to encourage them to join us. We'll say, hey, follow us on social media. Here's some literature. We give them literature related to county services. But we also invite them to attend our meetings so that we see representation from all over our community. And it's not something that we advertise. I asked for that specifically. I wanted us to have authentic, real, genuine conversations without lights, cameras, or action, just us.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I hope you will talk that model up with your colleagues, with chiefs across the state. I just think it's such a great idea. And thank you for your work, your good work. Keep it up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief. And I'm so glad that you started talking about the care services that you provide for your officers. I always ask the question, who are the caregivers for the caregivers? Because it's so important. Because when you are experiencing trauma, you don't want that bleeding out into your work. You don't want that bleeding out into your family. And so I really appreciate all of your efforts to that end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to turn to our other amazing trailblazing Chief, Anne Arundel County Fire Chief Trish Wolford. Chief Wolford is the 12th chief in the 54-year history of Anne Arundel County Fire Department. She was sworn in December of 2018. And this appointment was a homecoming for Chief Wolford. She started her fire service career in Maryland with the Anne Arundel County Fire Department in 2006. Chief Wolford is one of 4 female fire chiefs in Maryland. Chief Wolford, welcome.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, everyone. Great to see you. Congratulations on everybody's hard-earned election and all the work that goes into that. So it's great to see so many familiar faces. I'm just going to give you a little background on your Anne Arundel County Fire Department. For some of you, this is just an update, and we already work very close together, which I love the relationships I have with my senators and delegates. So for some of you, this will just be a little bit of new information. Anne Arundel County has 31 fire stations, and we are a combination fire department. What that means is we have career paid firefighters, and then we have volunteer firefighters, and all of those firefighters and EMTs and paramedics support every community member that we have visiting and living in Anne Arundel County. So there are almost 1,000 career members at these 31 stations, and then we have close to almost 400 active riding volunteer members, and then about 900 administrative volunteer members, which these are the ones that you see supporting the community and doing bull roast and community outreach, but they're not responding to calls and being active with our call volume. So just a little bit of that background. Also, a great thing to know is our firefighters are all cross-trained. So every firefighter is also an EMT or a paramedic. This is not a split role. It's a dual role that they take the challenge of being able to do both so they can serve in as many ways as possible. The fire department is doing really well right now. I'm going into beginning my 5th year. So I've had 4 wonderful years with County Executive Pittman and 4 wonderful years with a lot of you. The things that make us the strongest and that we do the best at is partnerships. And that's one of the reasons I love talking to this group. I want to lead with a thank you. You all have been amazing partners. When we had one of our fireboats sink this past year, and everybody stepped up, my phone rang, everybody asked, what can we do? What can we do? How can we help? And you all have helped in a tremendous way by monetarily supporting us. And then also just the outreach of what else can we do? What else do you need? So let me just say thank you for helping me with state funding and being a good partner. The other thing I want to thank you for is legislatively, whenever there are bills coming through that say anything about fire or medical or EMS or rescue or response, the emails start coming in and say, hey, what do you think about this? What's this going to do for your department? Is this good? Is this bad? And I genuinely appreciate all those phone calls and all of those emails because it does have an impact on our work. And I do love the men and women that work for this department, and I want to make sure that we are all making good decisions for them and good decisions for our community members. So thank you for including me, and I hope you will continue to include me in those decisions that get made. And then the last piece is whatever I can do for you all. I think there's a great partnerships when it comes to our constituents, and when there are issues, again, the emails come right in and say, hey, I've got this problem. Can you help me out with this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? Can you send somebody out to take a look? I can't fix it and I can't work with you in a good partnership if I don't know there is a problem. So if we can continue doing those things, those would be my asks of the group. And I will profess and promise to all of you that I will do the same for you when you are trying to support your office and get the work done that you need to get done. So I'm open to any questions. Just know that your firefighters are doing well. They have come out of the pandemic healthy. Excited to move forward. We have had great support from the county executive's office. So we are doing well with making improvements to staffing, with getting new stations built to support some of our older model stations. And that's happening all across the county. So that's affecting everyone in every part of our jurisdiction. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer anything or dive deeper into any topic that anybody has any interest in.
I don't see questions from the members. So while they're raising their hands, I would love to circle back because I know before the pandemic, we were trying to work on a community effort in some of these well water communities to talk about what it would take to transition to municipal. And I know that the pandemic sort of wipe that work away. But I would love to the opportunity to reconnect and look at how we can maybe do a countywide effort identifying communities that might be interested in knowing what their fire services are available and what their options are. And I suspect that some of my other colleagues who also have some of these water, well water bedroom communities would be interested as well. I see a hand from Delegate Lehman.
Oh, and if you don't mind, if I can just speak to that real quickly.
Of course.
Because that is such a bigger initiative, and you're right, it did, excuse me, really stall out after we talked about it a couple of years ago, or what feels like a couple of years ago. So what we have done in the fire department is obviously the things I can control and want to make better, I can. The water conversation is such a huge conversation that would involve so many agencies. So within our community, half of Anne Arundel County has fire hydrants and the other half basically does not. And when that community does not have a fire hydrant, most likely they have drafting tanks that are installed underground. When the drafting tanks are not in a sufficient amount of water, we purchase and put tanker trucks, which carry anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 gallons of additional water on top of what our engines bring, which is around 750 instead of that 3,000, that mass volume of water. So what we have done internally is we have purchased and upgraded our tanker fleet. And what we are currently working on with our staffing is to make sure that we have single role staffing, meaning that anytime that tanker is needed, we don't have to take a staff person off of an engine or a truck, that we know that resource in that area that doesn't have fire hydrants and doesn't have that type of water, that we are able to implement an additional water source. So part of what we're working at our staffing model is increasing the ability to have those tankers in those specific location. So the two things I've been able to control and work with the county executive on are additional tankers and then the staffing for drivers so that is 24/7 staffed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that update. And I apologize that I cut you off. Now I will turn to Delegate Lehman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much, Chief Wolford, for your great work. I just have a quick question about a second set of gear. Can you tell us, do your career and or volunteer firefighters have second sets of at least gloves or entire gear so that they are minimizing their risk of exposure to the various toxic chemicals that they may be exposed to on the job when they fight a fire? What is the status of that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Delegate. That's a great question. For those of you that don't know, cancer and suicide are one of the or two of the top areas that we fight to keep our firefighters alive. When it comes to the second set of gear, all career members, which is close to about 950 members, everybody has a full second set of turnout gear. Turnout gear is the gear that we wear to fires. So that includes the hood, the jacket, the pants, the gloves, the Nomex, everything that they need. They have an entire second set. In our volunteer workforce, we put out to our volunteer companies for them to send us their top 7 to 10 responders that they would like to have second gear. And so we're working in a phased approach. We've sent probably about half of those members. The other half just haven't come in to get sized. All the gear is specially sized, so it fits every individual. The fit is extremely important. If it's too tight, it creates hot spots, which creates burning. So they have to come in and get sized. One of the unfortunate things that we're seeing from the pandemic is the lead times on the make of the material. It's specialized Nomex material, and then the delivery time. So normally when we would get gear in, say, 8 months, we're seeing 16 months right now. What we also have then is, so we have spoken to the career. Yes, everybody has it. The volunteers are on track as long as they come in to get sized to be able to order that and receive that second set of gear, just as our career firefighters. The third thing we have in place is we have an entire cache at our quartermaster that is all different shapes and sizes of gear that we have. So if you need to launder 2 sets of gear, you come into the quartermaster 24/7 anytime you need in there, and you get issued a supplemental 3rd set of gear that is then just a general set. It is the closest we can get to sizing. But for the most part, if we're going through 3 sets of gear in a 24-hour time period, we have been extraordinarily busy. So it's a gear exchange program. So we have that also as a backup, just in case somebody that maybe didn't have a second set, or it already is dirty and it's not back from the cleaners. So plan A, everybody gets it. Plan B is the gear exchange program.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That is impressive. It really is. And I hope you will, continue along that path of getting your volunteers outfitted. Really quick follow-up question. I'm curious about how the cleaning gets done. Does the gear get sent out for most of your 31 companies, or do any of your companies have in-house, those heavy duty washing machines and dryers that are needed for this gear?
We actually have both. I love how much you know about that. This is great. I'm going to hire you to bring you on for cancer reduction. We actually have both. So all the new fire stations are being built with, they're called gear extractors for the washers, and then the dryers. They're huge. I would love for you guys to come visit any station anytime you want and see that. So gear exchange program, the gear gets sent out just based on time constraints, and we get it all back properly bagged and sealed. It goes out properly bagged and sealed. We also do have decon practices on the fire ground that they have proper protocols they must go through to decon their gear before it gets bagged or before they're allowed to put it back in an exterior compartment. It's not supposed to ride with them in an interior compartment after they have been to a fire. And then again, the washers and the dryers that have been included in the station are very quick, so they can wash their own gear, have that drying while they wear the second set and run calls. The other thing I want to add is we have new stations being replaced in Cape Sinclair. This is a great combination volunteer and career station. We have a new station going up in Crownsville, again, another great combination station. All new fire stations since I have come in are being built with cancer reduction technology in the station. So there are separate rooms for where the gear is stored, for where they get ready and put their gear on. They're entirely separate ventilation systems. They ventilate the air in a different way, where either it pulls it down versus pulling it up. That air never gets exchanged with common air. And then the stations are always also being built. So when you see firefighters get off the apparatus and go to walk in the station, they actually have to go through a decon process to get into the living quarters so that they're not bringing anything on their clothing into the living quarters. So those are some of the technology pieces I'm trying to upgrade and change within the station that keeps clean versus dirty very separate.
That is so impressive. Thank you for sharing that. I had not heard of that separate room exposure approach. And, we know so much more about exposure and the cancer, rates, the related, directly related cancer rates for firefighters. And so thank you for that great work. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for those great questions. Delegate Schmidt, I had seen your hand up and then it was back down. Did you have a question?
I just wanted to piggyback. Thank you, Delegate Lehman, and thank you, Madam Chair. Great questions. My father-in-law, 35 years, retired in Arundel, and deals with cancer and asbestos still to this day. I did want to mention to Chief Wolford, I'm working with Delegate Holmes on a number of bills through the Fire and EMS Coalition. We meet on Mondays at 3 p.m. And if there's ever a chance that you can join us, love to have you do that. We have 7 agencies that are on that call every Monday.
Is that a virtual meeting, sir, or in person?
It's a virtual meeting. Yep.
Okay, I would, I'll send you my email. I think I've emailed you once before, but I would love to get the link for that. And if myself or even somebody out of my health and safety division could be on the call, that would be great.
Yep. Perfect. I'll talk to Delegate Holmes today. We'll get you all set up. Thank you.
Thank you for the offer.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Chief. You and Chief Awad just represent Anne Arundel County so wonderfully. You set a very high standard, and we are so appreciative of our emergency services here in Anne Arundel County. I really do believe that we set the standard for the entire state, and it's just an honor to have you and Chief Awad at the helm. So thank you so much for being here with us today and for being really great partners.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. We have one more guest today who is also a trailblazer, a literal trailblazer. He is John Corin of Bike Advocates for Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, who is literally helping blaze the bike trails that connect our county and our state. Bike AAA is a nonprofit advocating safe cycling in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. Welcome, John Corin.
Thank you, Chair Bagnall. I believe this is my 10th year in front of the delegation, and I'm especially proud and grateful to be following my friends and partners, Chief Awad and Chief Wolford. And let me tell you, if in your delegation bingo card, if you had 3 cyclists focused on safety in a row, you just won, because both chiefs are bicycle riders. Bike AAA, if you're not familiar with us, we're an all-volunteer group. Just to mention a couple of our programs before I get to the bills, we provide every year hundreds of refurbished bicycles for adults and children in the county in need, many adults who need bikes for transportation. That program is housed at the Anne Arundel County Food Bank. We just opened the first 2 bike safety parks for children in the county, and we're looking to do more. In fact, we'll have a grand ribbon cutting up at Lindale Middle School on March 25th. We promote a variety of events to encourage people to ride. And our newest, which is just launching now, is called Cycling Without Age, where we will take seniors and people with disabilities for outdoor biking experiences on a device called the Trishaw. It's 2 seats in front that are accessible for people with limited mobility, and a pilot pedaling in the back with e-assist, and we'll have seniors out on the trails who otherwise would not have access. So with that as a backdrop, let me get to the bills. I represent here a broad coalition of advocates from across Maryland, and the bills that we ask your support for this year, and I can provide the paper list, so don't worry about taking loads of notes. HB 70, cross-filed SB 16, safe access for all, safe roads, Delegate Charkoudian, Senator Waldstreicher. This would require SHA to really double down on being sure that roads are designed for safety for all users, not just motorists, but people on foot and also people on bike. Equity in the transportation sector, while this is not bike and pedestrian specific, it is certainly something that the Bike Coalition is supporting. Reduction of speed limits, Delegate Lehman, I testified beside Delegate Lehman just a couple of weeks ago, enables the county to reduce speed limits where appropriate. There's a few words you hear often in a press release about a crash. Speed was not a factor. Those words are never true. Speed is always a factor. Speed increases both the likelihood and the severity of injury in the event of a crash, especially with a vulnerable road user. Bikes on sidewalks, thank you, Delegate Jones, for sponsoring this bill. You may not know, but across Maryland, unless the local jurisdiction allows, bikes are prohibited from sidewalks. Even a child riding to school or a person who relies on a bike to get to work, like a man who was killed in Annapolis last month. It is illegal in Maryland unless a local jurisdiction allows it. Thankfully, Arundel and the city of Annapolis have allowed it, but we want to flip the default in this bill across the state, and this bill would do that. A bill that was just filed, and it has to get through rules. We'll see if it gets to committee. Filed by Delegate Stein is called Stop as Yield, HB 1289. This enables a person riding a bike approaching an intersection with a stop sign to treat the stop sign as a yield sign, which means slow, be able to come to a full stop if required, make sure you have good sight line. And if the intersection is clear and you're yielding to any other vehicles, people on foot, you can then roll through the stop. 9 states have allowed this. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Agency, has put out a paper on it. It feels a little counterintuitive to drivers who don't also bike ride, but it is actually the safest practice. Delaware implemented this just a couple of years ago. There are local bills, like I know Delegate Bagnall, I know you have a local bill on speed monitoring. We are watching that one as well. At the encouragement of Senator Elfreth, who opened up our statewide bike symposium a couple of weeks ago, this year we're participating in the budget hearings, and I've been to several in the last 2 weeks. And we think there's more. Move Anne Arundel, the strategic transportation plan for Anne Arundel County, has specific goals to shift mode share from single occupancy vehicles to walking, biking, and transit. That is the very, very best way to reduce traffic congestion, protect our environment, improve health, and provide affordable and equitable transportation choices for Marylanders. But it will not happen unless we make it safe, unless we provide safe infrastructure. So we're asking SHA, MTA to have better access to transit stations, MDTA to make sure our bridges and crossings over interstates have safe facilities, and even DNR, we're asking for set up an office of trails so that all of the trail networks that are being developed locally, like the Anne Arundel Trail Network, Google AnneArundelTrailNetwork.org and take a look at our vision. Statewide, we need to get all of these connected, and we think DNR can play a role there. So thank you, Senator Elfreth, for encouraging us to do that, and we hope it will have positive effect. So I'll stop there, and I'm happy to take questions if that's appropriate.
Well, thank you so much for all of your work and for diligently coming before the delegation and before the General Assembly. Do we have questions from the members? Seeing none, thank you so much for joining us today, for all of your good work, and for continuing to help reduce the traffic burden as the representative from the Broadneck Peninsula. I really appreciate that work.
The Broadneck Trail is coming from your house to my house.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to turn now to our legislative bond initiative presentations. As a reminder, all presentations are 5 minutes max. And to our members, please ask your best question. Remember, we will have opportunity to reach out to these organizations offline for further information. We have 6 presentations today. So we're going to get started right now with the Severna Park Elks Lodge 2482. And that's Terry Hicks. Welcome. Oh, you need to unmute. There you go.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to speak about our bond initiative for Severna Park Elks. I would like to introduce to you our exalted ruler, Terry Hicks.
Could we share the screen, please? And would you guys not like that title, Exalted Ruler? Last week, I was reelected to my 2nd term, starting April 1st, so I'll be around for this entire project to completion. If awarded to us, I am with Kathy Meyer, a member for 6 years, and a fantastic volunteer. She was awarded our Elk of the Year last year. Our national organization, it's not working. Our national organization has a mission statement that we uphold to serve our veterans, our youth, support all within the disabled community, and our first responders. Membership, no military time is required to be an elk. One must be able to say they believe in God, are an American citizen, and are 21 or over.
So I believe all of you would qualify for that membership. So I've attached an application for you all to fill out. I'm just kidding, but we would like to see you all join. Our present facility.
Just one moment. Are we supposed to be seeing something on the screen?
Yes, I asked if we could share the screen.
You
Okay,
should be able to share now.
No?
How do I do that?
There should be a green button at the bottom of your screen.
All right. Is it working now?
Button.
So if you look at your toolbar at the bottom, there's a green button that says share screen
I don't see it.
in your Zoom.
There?
Is it possible that perhaps we could put up the presentation, Madam Chair? I think we have it.
Well, how about
There
if
it
we
is.
just,
Sure.
oh, here it is.
Found it.
And share.
There we go.
Oh, great. We're rookies at this whole thing.
No problem at all.
So we're down to here.
Here we go. Our present facility was constructed in 1983, meeting all of the ADA requirements. We have a lounge area that holds 120 and a hall area that can hold up to 400 people. Our current bathrooms are outdated and no longer ADA compliant.
Once awarded the legislative bond, we would start working immediately with an architect to see what is possible in the space. We have to get all bathrooms ADA compliant. We also work to update entry doors to allow individuals with mobility concerns to gain easier access to our facility. We'll find some contractors that give us ideas of timelines and estimates for all the remodeling that would need to be completed. And with our final goal to have the project planned in 1 month and completed within a 6-month period to return to serving all in the community.
So as you can see, we've cleaned and painted the bathrooms. They don't actually look that bad. One of the stalls used to be Pepto-Bismol pink, and now it's painted agreeable gray, which makes our brides that are renting the venue very happy. So painting did help a little bit, but it did not make them any bigger. And we have some wheelchairs that can get into the bathroom, but they can't get into any of the stalls. Actually, we have one member who has to go home. Her husband has to drive her all the way home to use the facilities. And when we have rentals, many times during events, we've had people come up and ask where our handicap bathrooms are. And sadly, we've had to say that we don't have any on site.
So we are asking for $200,000 in order to make our bathrooms accessible to all. Some of the contractors we've talked with last year said it would cost about $30,000 to get the plans together, $80,000 for the materials, and $90,000 for labor. We anxiously await to see how much prices have gone up in 1 year. In the future, we'd like to partner with a police organization that wants to show how they work with disabled people in the community and do an event such as a dinner dance at our hall. We worry about the size of the new wheelchairs and walking devices, along with our present bathrooms not meeting their needs.
As Elks, we take pride in our many contributions to our community. We honor our vets, help filling the needs of our youth and our adult community members, and donating to lots of organizations, both national and local.
As you can see, we love to help with people and organizations. In the middle are some of the many organizations we have helped. In the upper left is a young guy that had a wheelchair to get around, but was unable to get into his house. We gave $2,000 to help him get a ramp. At the bottom left and middle right shows the clothing we gave to some of the homeless vets. The Blue Ribbon Project we have supported this past year with $4,000 of needed supplies.
So in conclusion, this grant will modernize our facility, make it accessible to all, and allow us to continue in our efforts helping people in our community.
We wish to thank you all for listening to our presentation. We thank Senator Guile and Delegate Chisholm for co-sponsoring our bond initiative. And a special thank you to Delegate Kipke and Delegate Bagnall for stopping in at the gala in October.
Please help us make our facility open to all. Are there any questions that we may answer?
Thank you so much. I'm going to give the members a moment. All right, seeing no hands, thank you so much for your presentation. It was a pleasure to join you for your gala, and we really appreciate all the good work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Our next presentation is from Opportunity Builders. Marcia Legg, go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marcia Legg. I'm the CEO at Opportunity Builders, or OBI, as I'll refer to us throughout the presentation this morning. If you had the opportunity to look at the one-page summary that I prepared for you all, I'm going to kind of follow that same format. I did a little who, what, when, where, why, so it made sense to kind of continue that vein. So we are OBI. We were founded in 1962 right here in Anne Arundel County. So we have been doing this work for 60 years. We actually celebrated our 60th anniversary just last year. What we've been committed to all of that time is caring for some of Anne Arundel County's most vulnerable citizens. That would be those living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our mission is to support youth and adults with disabilities and as they experience full inclusion in their communities while they learn, work, and pursue their paths to personal success. What that means is we provide a variety of services here at our facility, our home in Millersville, Anne Arundel County, as well as throughout the broader community. One of our goals really is providing services that help folks access the community and have that same feeling of belonging that we all do. So we do a lot of work outside of our facility. However, those with the most significant disabilities are the same people who still rely on our facility, because they have some complex nursing needs or behavioral needs, real clinical services that are provided best within a facility and can be done with dignity. Our outdoor space, what our project is, we are asking for $75,000 in support to cover the initial construction phases of an outdoor space that can be enjoyed by all in the community, the OBI community, as well as the community that we are a part of here in Millersville. We're partnering with Nature Sacred, another Anne Arundel County-based organization. Some of you may know them formally as TKF Foundation. They do amazing work in creating sacred spaces. That's their term for the beautiful outdoor spaces that they have helped many organizations throughout Maryland create. We are partnering with them to create a space that will be truly an extension of our current facility. We have a 41,000 square foot facility that sits on approximately 14 acres. We're surrounded by woods, so we have the natural beauty, but we've never really done anything with that outdoor space. Which brings me to the when. This fiscal year 24 rather, is when we hope to break ground on this project. We have already secured $50,000 in support from Nature Sacred, and that is to cover their architectural landscape design. Part of their model, which is one thing we love the most about their work, they will assist us in planning community charrettes and getting input from the broader community, as well as the individuals we support, their families, our staff, everyone that's a part of our community. Where we're at 8855 Veterans Highway here in Millersville. And probably the most important part of our project is our why. And where this concept stemmed from was COVID. I began here in 2020, also on the heels of the pandemic, and found this beautiful building shut down, found everyone at home, and had to retrain our entire staff. Like most families, we also suffered the loss of some of our family members. Some of the very people we supported for many, many years. My natural first question was, okay, family, what do we do? How do we mourn? How do we help our clients mourn? And I learned we didn't have a real consistent tradition of how to do that. So we really, really desperately want to provide that for our community. I know it's not just the OBI community that's hurting as we recover, but it's our entire community. So with this space, we'll have a memorial and reflection space that folks can gather and remember and celebrate and honor the loved ones that are no longer with us. We are also really committed to increasing our services for folks with autism, children and adults. That is a big part of our strategic plan. So in addition to the memorial portion of our Tranquility Garden project, we'll also be building sensory gardens. And sensory gardens will be extremely beneficial to both youth and adults with disabilities and provide a really unique experience, even for those without disabilities who visit OBI for various reasons. And so that is why we're humbly requesting your support for this project. And I also want to, of course, thank Delegate Chisholm for his support and for sponsoring our project.
Thank you so much. I have a hand from Delegate Chisholm.
Just on a personal note, just want to make a statement that my wife, Ann Brenda, lived with us for 8 years. She worked at OBI all the way up until COVID. And I just want to say they do incredible work over there. They're wonderful people. Brenda would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning so she could make that van at 8 o'clock. And she talked about OBI all day long, from the time she woke up until the time she went to bed, because the people over there are wonderful. What they do is incredible. And I hope they get a chance to continue that work and get back to normal. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Delegate. Delegate Bartlett.
Delegate Chisholm, I agree. I've seen Delegate Chisholm and Delegate Chain and a few others at the wonderful Mardi Gras that OBI has had, and some of the other events, and Delegate Rogers, and the Senator Biden. I mean, just everybody. So the point that I want to make is that I'd love to see that again, see that come back. It's such a fun fundraiser for OBI, and we many of my colleagues have supported those events, all of your fundraisers. Just, you do great work, and just a big thank you.
Thank you so much. And if I may just add, we are bringing back Mardi Gras. It is on Saturday, April 29th. I will distribute information, and thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you. Delegate Rogers.
Just more of a comment, and that's that I certainly too appreciate the great things that you guys do. If it weren't for organizations such as yours, and I had the opportunity to work with creating jobs for people at the federal level, but a lot of times people at the state through the Ability One Commission don't have necessarily the resources, and so incredibly appreciative of all that OBI does.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I mirror my colleagues' comments. And thank you for all your good work. We're going to go ahead and turn to our next LBI presentation, which is Bernie House, and Patricia Slater, if you want to go ahead and get started.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Patty Slaughter, and I'm founder of the Bernie House, which is a longer-term transitional housing program for families fleeing domestic violence. And we provide a genuine family environment. And there is no other grassroots program like the Bernie House in the area. And today we're seeking $200,000 so that we can expand our program and purchase a third home to triple our efforts in Anne Arundel County. And I could take all day discussing the horrifying statistics on domestic violence, but let's look beyond their bruises, beyond their scars, and beyond their history, and see what happens when they're in the Bernie House and when they're just given a chance. When a family enters our program, we sit with the mother and we set up goals. We explain that she's expected to have a lot of skin in the game. We believe that's partly the reason why we have an 80% success rate, and because she's the one doing all the hard work. And we also sit with the mother and help her set goals and devise a plan, and to help her achieve them. We have quarterly meetings to see if they've achieved these goals. And if they have, then we set new ones. If we haven't, then we re-strategize the plan to help them get there. Families enter the home and it's completely furnished. They are required to make a monthly payment program fee. And while they're in the home, they're receiving vehicles, education, household budgeting, establishing credit, learning how important it is for good credit. They're receiving one-on-one case management And when they successfully complete the program, they take the entire contents of the home with them, plus all the program fees that have been collected over the 2 years. So right then and there gives them a kickstart and a solid concrete foundation for them to move on and return to the community financially stable and equipped with the skills to start a new life filled with hope and opportunity. Women bloom in so many aspects when they're in our program. And while she's learning how strong she is and all that she's capable of and becomes empowered and in making a permanent transition to stability, self-sufficiency, and a healthy future and opportunity, her children are watching. And they're living in a safe home, and often sometimes for the first time in their life. And they're also learning that love doesn't have to hurt. We've had mothers start with us unemployed, with entry-level positions and work their ways up to management. We have women that now own their own businesses. We have women that are buying homes. We have children who have earned scholarships and are being the first in their family to go to college. And they're doing all of this because they know the Bernie House is in their corner, helping them every step of the way. They have someone they can rely and trust. One of our current mothers entered our program during the peak of COVID. She entered with her 2 children, and over the past 2.5 years, she earned her GED. She obtained a car. She's working a full-time position. She has a credit score of, she had a credit score in the 400s, and now her credit score is in the high 7s. She has been receiving one-on-one therapy. We were able to find a local women's business network who collectively donated the funds for business coaching and to pay for certification and equipment. So now she can fulfill her dream of owning her own dog grooming business. The program fees that she has been paying monthly over the 2 years is now her nest egg of $13,000. And a portion of these funds are being used to purchase her home and for home inspections, and she has very nice savings. And by taking the first-time homebuyers course through the Arundel Community Development Services, she received the $40,000 interest-free loan. We found a mortgage broker that knew of a $10,000 grant. So now she has $50,000 to put towards down payment on her first home. And she will be the first in her family to own a home, and she's only 27. So on March 17th, she'll settle on her home that she'll be able to take and completely furnish because she's taken the entire contents of the house that she lives in now. So just think, in 2 years, when she entered the program, she was homeless. She was living at the YWCA shelter with very little hope and without a high school diploma, no savings, no car, and just a temporary part-time positions. And because of the Bernie House and her determination, just look what she's done over 2 years, just given the chance and just given a break and the time to heal. And this is just one of our success stories. Our program works, and this is why today I'm seeking $200,000 to help purchase our third home, which will help us triple our efforts here in Montgomery, Anne Arundel County. Thank you. And thank you, Senator Beidel and Delegate Mark Chang for sponsoring the bill.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to give the members a moment to see if there are any questions. Well, thank you so much for all the good work that you do. I just had a question. What's your current capacity at Bernie House? I know you do a lot.
Well, what we do, I think that we're the missing link, between the shelter and homelessness or the future. So what we're doing is we're providing a genuine family environment. So in each of our homes, we accept one mother and up to 4 children in each homes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today and for all your good work. We're going to turn now to the Gambrels Athletic Club and Matt Yeager. Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Matt Yeager. I'm the current president of Gambrels Athletic Club. Gambrels Athletic Club was founded in 1948 and has served the Anne Arundel County youth for 75 years. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that accepts players throughout Anne Arundel County. The club members and players living throughout Anne Arundel County include, but are not limited to, Gambrels, Arlington, Severna Park, Annapolis, Davidsonville, Crofton, Glen Burnie, and Severn. We currently have teams spanning from ages 8 and under to 18 and under. Across these age groups, we have approximately 175 student athletes. Why are we here asking for a local bond initiative request, and why is it needed? After serving hundreds of families and youth in 75 years, we continue to have issues with field availability for our teams. When the spring season begins, it's challenging to offer viable practice and game time to our teams due to daylight time constraints. We are at our limit and have to turn kids away from our program. We are requesting a local bond initiative to add lights to the grandstand field at our facility. This field gets the most use and would allow teams to practice and play into the evening. Our fields are centrally located off Route 3 in Arundel County. We have plenty of on-site parking, which makes our fields available and desirable for use. We have consistently through the years worked with other local organizations such as Gambrels Arundel Recreational Council, API, Rawlings, Crofton Athletic Council to provide fields when they are in need. We also have had various tournament groups and leagues use our fields, such as Chesapeake Baseball Association, Mid-Atlantic Baseball Association, and the American Legion. Students who currently attend Arundel High School and plan on trying out for the JV and varsity teams have access to our facilities and also field summer and fall teams here. We are cognizant we're cognizant about many families that are in need and offer low player fees. Some kids don't pay it off; they can't afford it. We are going to work with the Arundel County Parks and Recreation on a memorandum of understanding to also confirm our commitment to use our grandstand field and lights in the evening. Gambrels has been in the community for 75 years and wants to continue to build a relationship with the county. We are asking for help with $500,000, $500,000 it's going to cost to just light that one field. We currently have $50,000 toward that, and we're continuing to raise funds on our own. We've never asked anybody for any money. We've always been self-financed through volunteers and fundraising on our own. And we've attempted to solicit other outside funding sources with little success. What I think is important to understand is that we are a countywide resource for a variety of reasons. First, our location is an easy facility to get to off Route 3 and 175 in the center of the county. Second, you can ask all the other baseball clubs. If you play baseball in Maryland, you travel through Gambrels Athletic Club. I mean, literally for 75 years, if you were a competitive baseball player from 8 to 18 years of age, you came through our parking lot, you played on our fields. We also partner with Primrose Daycare and other businesses if they ever need to use our parking, our facilities for any reason. We participate and put on charity events for youth sports associations across the county, such as Gork, Crofton. If they need to raise funds for Cooperstown or need to get equipment, they come and we host a bull roast for them and we help them organize and generate revenue for them. We also host tournaments. We have an annual Blue Line battle that supports fallen officers' families. Proceeds from that the tournament's gotten so big we can't just host it all here. We have to go to other venues. We realize that there's a need for nonprofits like us, and we try to do what we can to help support the community. We do appreciate your consideration and ask to take in the fact the amount of people that we serve. We're technically a community center that helps serve both public and private causes. And we're the only venue in the area that is centrally located, has decent parking and reasonable rates to do that. We would like to build a more community feel as all our work is done by volunteers. I'm a volunteer. No one gets paid here. We mow, we weed whack, we spread dirt. All that's done by volunteers. And we've done this for 75 years and we want to continue this tradition. The light project will not only help our club, but it'll also provide a community resource for the entire Anne Arundel County. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Andrew, for sponsoring us, Andrew Pruski. And if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm going to give the members a moment if there are any questions. Well, thank you for all the work that you do for our county and particularly for our county youth.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and turn to Chrysalis House. We have Robin Rickard and Debbie Darty.
Good morning, everybody, Madam Chair and Vice Chair, members of the delegation and Anne Arundel County leadership. It's an honor to be here with you this morning in my new role as the CEO of Chrysalis House. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Chrysalis House, it's a nonprofit. We're one of the very few treatment facilities who offer inpatient and outpatient, intensive outpatient for women and children here in Anne Arundel County and throughout the state. It's where moms and children can heal together. In the morning, the women go to breakfast with their children, and then when breakfast is over, they can then take them to our safe and loving child development center on site. The women then go to their group or individual meetings and therapy sessions. There are several therapeutic group sessions in addition to the traditional and life skill classes that we offer here. There's a mental health art therapist who comes on site to provide mental health therapy using art for the women to express themselves and open up. We have a therapeutic writing and mindfulness classes. The therapist for the mindful class, I'm learning more and more. I've just been on the past couple of weeks, but they take the women for walks throughout the, just so they can get out into the fresh air to reflect on their journey and their recovery. Currently, she takes them around the old Crownsville Hospital campus, and they have to go out on Crownsville Road to get to the road area to walk around the hospital ground buildings. And as you know, if you've passed through, those buildings aren't in the best conditions. It's not the most therapeutic atmosphere when they're out there walking around. And as in the one pager that we provided yesterday that we sent to the delegation, we do have a parcel of property that's currently overgrown with weeds and invasive trees. We've already obtained a grant for $45,000 from the County Forest Conservation Fund to remove the weeds and trees. They're going to plant some native trees and vegetation. And they keep emailing us nonstop saying that they want to start the process as soon as possible, right after the frost freezes over. The $75,000 that we are requesting will be for a second phase for a nature trail, which will include a meditation garden. Kind of reminds me of the OBI request, a meditation garden, a sensory herb garden, a butterfly garden. Of course, we have to have a butterfly garden. We're called the Chrysalis House, right? And a reflective bench area. And I'm really excited about this. I picture the group out there walking for their therapy sessions. I picture the moms out there walking with their strollers, with their children, walking through the path, and the kids having fun with the butterflies, because we are going to have a lot of butterfly bushes. And I also picture our staff, because as you all know, in this line of work, so many people get burnt out because of the stressors of dealing with people with substance use disorder and mental health issues. So I'm going to encourage the staff to get out there on their lunch break, to just get out, get some vitamin D, and take a stroll on the path. When I took a tour here several weeks ago to decide whether or not I was going to come on as the CEO of Chrysalis House, I was walking through, and this child, because you know they're all here with their moms, this child came up to me and just hugged me. Didn't know who I was, just gave me the biggest hug. And I knew how special this place was, and I knew that this is where my calling was. So I came on board. But if anyone from the delegation, I know some of you, Madam Chair, you've been here. If anyone would like to take a tour, please reach out to Debbie Daughtery. She's here, our development director. We would love for you to come and take a tour of our facility. I will tell you, if you do, wear pants, because if the children are out and about, they're gonna run up to you and grab onto your leg, because they are just starving for affection and love. And it's just such an amazing facility and organization that the moms and the children can actually be together. And I know a lot of you are passionate about ACEs and the children. And so we're working with the children in our Child Development Center to help them as well as the moms. But please, if you would love to come out, we would be more than welcome to set up a tour for anyone to come out. So thank you very much again for this opportunity for the bill. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. And I'm going to give the members a moment. And while I'm waiting to see if there are any questions, I just want to say too that that we are looking to do a tour once we're in the interim and out of session, because I know you've got the new building that is quite extraordinary, and thank you for all the work that you do. I don't see any questions. So thank you so much for all of your good work and for being here today. And we're going to turn to our final LBI presentation. Last but certainly not least, Peerless Wrens Club and Keisha Kersey. Welcome.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Keisha Kersey. I am the new president of the Peerless Wrens Club. We're a historical Black social club located in Eastport in Annapolis. I first want to thank you for the opportunity to present and to thank especially Delegate Hinton for lifting us up for this opportunity, and also for the continued support of Senator Elfreth and Delegate Jones as well. We were founded in 1948 by a group of 11 African-American men, one of which was my grandfather, Ernest Booth, who were dreaming and had the determination to create a space during the time of segregation where African Americans could gather socially and safely. And so we've been doing that for 75 years. We're celebrating our anniversary this year in July, which is very exciting. And we continue to serve as a community gathering space. We've been working over the past few years to maintain and maintain the club and to lift up our legacy. But also to sort of re-envision what the Peerless Wrens Club looks like in 2023. So we've been working really hard to get our history out and share our story with our community members as the neighborhood has changed since 1948. And that's been a lot of fun to do. We've been partnering with a lot of different organizations, and it's just a very exciting time. So I'm happy to be here to present our request to you. Our request is for $50,000. Our building is 2 levels. The first level is where we host the majority of our events. So we do a lot of musical events. We've done some political events, a lot of family gathering. It sort of serves as a place of homecoming for a lot of the descendants that are from the area. But over the past few years, as I've said, we've sort of opened ourselves up to the broader public who are interested in learning more about who we are and our history. And it's been a good time over the past few years doing that. So our request is to increase accessibility for our building in a few ways. The first is to become ADA compliant. We are not currently ADA compliant as a private club. We have a lot of our members that are aging and have mobility issues now. So we do want to make sure the space is more accessible for them, but also as we continue to invite the broader public in as a place that can serve them as well. We want to implement or install ramps and widen the doors, and do some more work in terms of a wheelchair lift in our stairs, because we're a 2-level building. The other area that we're looking to do is restoring the first floor. Right now, it's mainly used as storage, but as people have come into our space, we've gotten a lot of feedback around the interest and need for a more casual area where people can come and perhaps work or have informal meetings or have community meetings. Or to telework, or just have a place to sort of hang out and chill. I'll use those words. We've been particularly hearing that from the younger community, which we're hoping to target as we're thinking about sort of maintaining our legacy and continuing on and having the young people take that on. So we are looking to restore the floors on the first floor, which do have some water damage, replace some of the lightings and the electrical components so it can be much brighter space and more conducive to what we're envisioning for the space. And then we would like to renovate. There's a old office and an old storage area that we would like to turn into meeting rooms that can be used by the public. And then finally, we have 2 bathrooms downstairs that are very old, that definitely need to be updated, but the updates would be mainly focusing on making them ADA compliant, and they would be the ADA compliant bathrooms in the building. So in the slides that I submitted, I provided and mapped out our budget. So hopefully that was all clear with everything that I put in there. And then we've raised about $11,000 as part of our sort of larger, this is part of sort of a larger modernization renovation work of the building, which we're currently engaged in. And I would say the one last thing about that first floor space, we're also interested in displaying our history. So sort of a museum of sorts, but we do have a lot of pictures and history and memorabilia that around African Americans in Eastport that we would like to display in that area, so folks can learn a little bit more about the place and our legacy there. And with that, I'll conclude. The last slide that you'll see has a few pictures of some of the events that we've done, some of the ones where we've opened up to the broader public. We were a partner with the Annapolis Roots and Jazz Festival this year, which was very fun. And we got to sort of introduce ourselves to a whole new group of folks. And then another picture is of my cousins who are current members of the club and who've been working over the years to maintain the club and are just, yeah, they've just been incredible in terms of maintaining our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any questions from the members? Seeing none, thank you so much for all of your good work and for maintaining that legacy. And thank you for being with us today. This concludes our LBI presentations for today. Next week, we will hear from Mayor Gavin Buckley. We'll get the state of the airport, and the Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation will be here, and we will have our final LBI presentations. To our members, if you have not paid your dues, please get those to Secretary Roger Massey. And any organizations who wish to be acknowledged can email our delegation secretary at aacd@mlis.state.md.us. Are there any other announcements from our members? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have been moved and seconded. So with that, we are adjourned. Have a great weekend. Members, don't